But you're saying that no one else could do it.
The majority of people can't do it.
The question I have is like, and I hate to be the race guy to bring it up, but like, can anybody black do it?
Yes.
Do you have an example?
I feel like it would be harder.
Hold on. Let me ask you
before you finish, Russ, I was going to say I think the closest person I could relate to your situation will be Tory, outside of the fact of the situation, and I think it would be intellectually dishonest to say that his situation does not affect his current status and how he could be compared to you, and the similar fact of being independent currently and putting out a lot of music. Relying on yourself and your own ingenuity and artistry to.
Okay, so is there a question or a point? What was the point?
Would you agree that Tory is probably the closest person to your position as far as being independent and having control over his music?
Yeah, I think as far as being indie, just in that aspect, for sure. No. But back to the question of, do I think a black artist could have a successful independent career? I mean, y'all really think that if Travis Scott went indie right now, he's no longer having, because let me just break it down for y'all like this. Use me as the bar, as the bare minimum, right? Mm-hmm. If Russ is going platinum in 8 months, if Travis Scott went indie, you don't think he can go platinum in 8 months?
Yeah, but he's not going to sell.
I'm going to get.
He's not going to sell He's not going to sell 500K like he did.
Yeah,
he's not going to do that.
That's not the question. That's not the question. The question and the point that's being made is that artists would not be able to be successful without these labels and playlists. And I'm asking, if I'm doing platinum in 8 months, optics-wise, right? Every artist bigger than me, Travis and Post Malone and Lil Baby and all these guys, they should be able to go indie and at least do better than me. And I believe they would. I believe they would.
Hey, by the way,
I feel like platinum. For sure. I feel like Russ, platinum is just Russ, one bar.
Russ, I'm glad you brought up this point. So I did a podcast, sorry, shameless play. Everybody go listen off the record with Carl Cherry. And Carl Cherry's at Spotify. My podcast at Spotify, all good. And we had the debate. What happens if Drake goes independent tomorrow? This is my theory. I say his numbers get cut severely because a lot of this shit is brainwashing. Right? And I think you're beyond the brainwashing, so that's why you like when everybody gets back down to earth, because now it's really comparable. It's like baseball without the steroids. You're like, well, wait, why y'all niggas mad? I can't take the PEDs. I get it. But here's the thing, though. Why don't those artists? Drake has signed 3 motherfucking deals in the last 4 or 5 years. Why don't he go independent? Because think about it. Bad Bunny.
You know how big of the upfront bag that is?
Bad Bunny is getting way more of a bag than Drake. That nigga's seen way more from his music. He has a 90
massive bags. He has a
90-10 distribution deal. Well, obviously I don't know the ins and outs of Drake's deal, but still, Drake owns some of his masters. I don't think he's 100%. Bad Bunny is straight distribution.
You have to respect that some artists don't want to deal with the independent aspect of the business. They want a whole team, and they just want people. Yeah, y'all do it. Y'all figure it out.
But doesn't that defeat the point you're saying, though?
Everyone is trying to run a whole because being independent, you're running the label.
Wait, right? Doesn't that defeat the point you're making, though?
Some artists are trying to show up in the studio, stand on X marks the spot, do your song, dip, give me my money, I'll talk to y'all later.
Doesn't that defeat the point what you're saying, though? Because think about it, right? If you're basically saying, well, if I did it, why don't everybody else do it? These are the biggest artists in the fucking game. Travis Scott, Drake, Post Malone.
No, I'm not saying why doesn't everyone else do it. I'm saying it's possible. They could.
Well, all right, okay, they could, but you don't think there's probably an upside to being in the system, to be a part of the fluff? Because again, you know what I mean? There's a famous saying, you know what I mean? 100% of zero is still nothing. You know what I mean? Again, even if you're getting 20% of a billion, nigga, you're getting a lot more than 100% of 10 million. You get what I mean? And not saying the drop off would be that drastic, but I think all these artists.
It's just about what you value. It's about what you value, right? It's like if you value, being in the system and being able to play the game, and the labels are all in cahoots with the Grammys and this and that. If you value all of those things more than you value ownership of your music and being able to come and go as you please, drop what you want, do all these things, then go with the label. I'm not going to tell you, rock out. Okay. Stick to whatever you value.
Let me ask you this. This is the last question, then I'll let everybody chime in. if you valued, say whichever artist, if they valued being the hottest artist in the game, because they could leverage it for other things, tours, like once you're the hottest or you're seen at a certain level, like there's a lot of equity in Travis Scott being seen as the guy who sells over 500,000. He launched a festival off of that. He's getting his name on burgers and McDonald's stuff off of that. You feel me? Like that's a lot of lucrative shit. So it's like these artists, they're probably seeing a bigger upside in just being in the system. And it's one of those things where it's like, you're going to gain more with the fluff. Like, no matter what people say, oh, okay, yeah, you own everything. And maybe you have a team that could do it. But the fluff of you being in that top 5 artists or the hottest artists, it's going to gain you more ancillary income than you could probably gain from just, quote, unquote, owning all your shit and doing it yourself. You don't think so?
No, I don't. I don't think that's some proven fact that being independent and not in the system, you can't get ancillary income. And the other thing, like I said,
as an impactful ancillary income, I think.
Like I said, if you're independent, right? First of all, the most lucrative asset in the music industry is the masters, is the music.
Yeah.
Guess what? These labels, all they do, they sit back and collect billions of dollars worth of profit off of just the master side of the song, not even the pub, just the master, not the touring, not the merch, just the master. So this narrative that like, oh, and this is the problem with the music business. Everyone is convinced that you need to go outside of the music to make real money because artists have been brainwashed to think that there's no real money in music. Look at the labels. They're billionaires off of owning shit ton of catalog. The whole fucking cheat code to this shit is owning an extremely big catalog. The only reason why these labels have power, why they're billionaires, because they own an insane amount of catalog. That's it. So I'm in the business of owning a shit ton of catalog. I know I don't need to go X, Y, and Z and like put my face on the burger and do all these things to get bread. I'm making crazy money over here, and it's only going to go up the more I put out.
I think it's a case by case basis when you get that high because, for example, I'm spitballing here, okay, right? So Drake, who obviously now, if you any of his release is going to be OVO, from what I hear, owns about 50 to 75% of the masters. Okay, so you sell quarter. Let's say you sell a quarter of the masters, maybe half to UMG. I don't know. Let's say for 3-4 albums, and they give you $600 million. Like again, granted, you know you could always play. Well, if you do it on your own and you really grind it up, you're gonna make maybe $800 million, and you own everything. But again, you want the $600 million now and $800 later. It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, but see, this is what I'm talking about. This comes down to what you value. I got offered a crazy bag for my catalog too. I turned it down because I value ownership and I value not selling my soul.
Is there a price on that?
He owns 75% though.
Is there a price on that?
Is there a price on what?
Okay, so you didn't want to sell the catalog, but if they gave you an insane amount of money that you couldn't even,
I'm not selling.
Okay, all right. Great. It's going to piggyback into this next point.
But for me, that's just what I value. I don't like, if you don't value that, if you just got into this for money, that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what to value. Value whatever you want to value. But for me personally, I value owning my creative work that I made. I value owning it. I just do. It doesn't sit right in my spirit to sell off parts of my soul. This music is parts of my soul. It doesn't sit right with me to literally sell my soul.
This is
for
a business.
bag. So for me, I'm not taking the money for the catalog deal.
Okay, all right, great. I'm glad you said that. So now, so let me ask you, and we're not talking about any artists in particular, but we're going to use them as examples, right? Shit, and Future, he sold part of his catalog. Nas is preparing to sell part of his catalog. You know what I mean? It's like, again, and I know the thinking behind it. You know, it's like, again, who knows? Get the capital now. You could probably invest it, do other things with it. You know what I mean? I've seen people who have sold their shit and bought it back. You know what I mean? It's just an asset. It's not selling your soul to most people. It's a business deal. Future's going to put out 10 more albums, right? But shit, if he could get $75 million now, he could use $30 million, put it in a joint venture with some type of VC going on.
You think he's going to do that?
I would hope. What do you think he's gonna do with $75 million? Just like get 10 more baby mamas? Like that gotta be part of the plan. It's like these are assets you own, but you're not gonna own them forever. You know what I mean? Like you look at all these, whether it's the Beatles catalog, whether it's the Michael Jackson's catalog, whether it's Taylor Swift. Well, it wasn't really her choice. Most people, they do wheel and deal. That's a different part. This is the music business. Like you could, I get it.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That's fine if that's how you look at it. If you look at your music just like another asset, if there's no spiritual or emotional attachment to it, if it's not your heart and soul and you don't give a fuck, I'm not going to judge you for that. Rock out. And I'm not surprised. Every song you hear from a lot of people is money over everything, right? So it's like, I'm not surprised that people are selling off their creativity.
Have you ever done a pub deal?
Have I ever done a pub deal?
Yeah.
I've done an admin deal, not a co-pub.
Okay. It just required him not to retire from music. That's why when he was trying to retire, they were trying to sue him.
I'm not in the business. For me, I don't value selling my shit off for money. I just don't.
Hey, I get it. Well, so no. I appreciate like you because you're standing on principle. I do understand though, other artists, the bag becomes so fucking big. Like for example, Irv Gotti, like you know what I mean, like. He sold his portion of like the Murder Inc. Masters. It's like, bro, like at this point, if another company comes with you with certain bags, again, the music is still always going to be a part of you. And I could understand artists doing that, especially if you get there. So I just think it's a business type of situation. But I think we did go off topic a little bit, and maybe we should kind of like recenter and refocus.
Sure, go ahead.
And you know, just think. We're just in a very different era where, and yo, Russ, I remember the first time I met you and you walked into, Complex. And I felt I was meeting someone who, it mirrored me a lot. And this is the question I'll ask you now. Granted, everything you said, don't you wish there was way more transparency? At least when it comes to the playlisting process, even if it's not that important for you. Because right now, it's very hazy. And while it might not affect you, it looks like it's kind of wishy-washy on how it might affect other artists.
I wouldn't even say it's hazy. I would say it's simple. If they fuck with you, they'll put it in. If they don't fuck with you, they won't.
How do you know if they fuck with you?
Huh?
How do you know if they fuck with you?
If they put it in.
Okay. But how do you know if they're not using other reasons? I'll give you an example. An artist hit me up. They were like, yo, listen, they pitched some music. And they were told because there's a current beef, and the other artists, again, I'm not going to quote specific people, but they're involved in some back and forth, like two different sides. They're not on the side that is popular at the moment, and the people don't want to piss off the other people by throwing them on certain playlists. Like
that's how it goes. Welcome to the music business. Shit's not fair. That's life. Like that's what happens
when
you
blackball though.
That's not, dog. You cannot say you're blackballed if you can still sell music at the store that you're saying is blackballing you.
If he's popping and if it was a normal circumstance, he would be on that playlist, and they're not putting them on there for another. That's politics, bro. That's kind of blackballing.
Of course, it's politics, but it's not blackballing. You're absolutely right. It's politics.
You're hindering a nigga's career based on your own beliefs, though. That's like kind of.
What do y'all think that this world is made out of fucking marshmallows and candy? What do y'all think goes on at every fucking company? Politics.
Outside of streaming, what do you say to performing though?
What do I say to what?
Performing.
What do you mean performing?
You think somebody can get blackballed from performing?
If a venue and a promoter says no, I'm not having him at my show, then yeah, they could.
Okay.
I have a good retort. Russ, you had said something, and I don't know if you ever elaborated on it, right? You said something about you had gotten a check, and I believe it was either from I guess the streaming companies that did something, whatever the case is, but you had gotten a check. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, and it was basically, this is when they finally signed their streaming deal, and I think they were